Hey guys, welcome to my channel. This series is about SPFx, which is SharePoint Framework. And in today's tutorial, we are going to break down one of the most important concept of SPFx, which is SPFx Web Part Lifecycle. If you are working with SharePoint Framework and React, understanding the lifecycle is absolutely important and essential. So let's get started. So first we'll talk about SPFx Web Part Lifecycle. There are the four main lifecycle method that every SPFx web part goes through, which is onInit, render, onAfterRender, and onDispose. Talking about each method, the onInit runs first. Great place to initialize your code. So if you want to initialize some variables and all those things, it is the better method to initialize that. Then we have the render. This is where your UI gets injected into the DOM, and it is called after onInit, responsible for rendering the web part content. You can render plain HTML or React. As I said, good place to render your HTML UI into a DOM. Then we have the onRenderAfter. It is optional and called after the render completes, useful for manipulating DOM or initializing third-party libraries that require the DOM to exist. Example is adding a border or styling after render. So it is good place when your web part is rendered and you have to do changes, after your web part is rendered, some DOM manipulation and something like that. And it is also optional when React gets added, it becomes the optional. So the next is onDispose. It is called when the web part is removed from the page. Use it to clean up resource timer or unmount React component to prevent memory leaks. And after that, there is another method of React which is get called, which is componentWillUnmount. So I'll talk about React component as well. So in this, we have done with SPFx web part. And the next thing is React. So how Reacts get added and how React bring its own set of lifecycle method, and this get layered up between render and onDispose. So instead of relying on onRender to do post rendering logic, most of the time we do React lifecycle method. And these are the methods that React has, which is constructor, render, componentDidMount, componentDidUpdate, componentWillUnmount. And these are the serials in which this function are called. So we have important note here as well. So these are the deprecated method which was used earlier uh, in React, which is component will mount, component will receive props, component will update. So as I said earlier, this is the tip. Component did mount replace SPFx on render when using React inside web part. So as I said, when we use component did mount, this is get replaced, right? So that is what happened. And talking about how, in what order all this methods are getting called, if you will see this, first we have onInit, then we have render, then we have constructor. The render of React, this was SPFx, this is of React. Component did mount, then we have component did update. On dispose, when we are removing the web part, then we have component will unmount. So this is how SPFx and React lifecycle works. This was all theoretical, but now we will start with the practical knowledge. I mean, we'll start with the coding. I'll show you in the code. So what I will do, I will go back inside YouTube, inside SPFx. These were the project which I've created in 2023 and I uploaded that. If you haven't watched it, you can watch it, but it was all previous version. From this series onwards, I'll be updating and uploading the good content on SPFx, which is the latest version of PNP and Node and everything. So stay tuned for that as well. What I will do here, I will create new folder SPFx lifecycle web part life cycle. Double click on this, open with code. I'll go to the terminal new terminal. We'll start with Yeoman, Microsoft SharePoint. I'll give it a name, SPFx Lifecycle. Enter. It will be web part. Again, it will be SPFx Lifecycle. Enter. React. It will take some time to get loaded and to install everything. So I'll forward this and we will meet once it is loaded. Now our project got loaded, everything has been installed. So the first thing what I will show you is if you go to SRC, if you go to web parts, and if you go to components, we have this web part TS, we have TSX, right? This is where we have all the SPFX method, lifecycle method. If you will see this, we have render, we have onInit, and we have wait dispose, right? We have dispose as well. There are different method as well, like get property pane and everything. This works only when you are using property pane. If you don't have knowledge about property pane, what it is and how it works, you don't have to worry about it. I will create another topic for that. But most of the web part doesn't cover property pane and all, because when you are working on the web part, when you are working with the CRUD operations and all, there is no need of having the property pane. So what we will do, what I will do, I will remove this method property pane for now. I'll get, I will delete this as well. If you see, we have some warnings, and I will remove this import as well because we are not using the everything. I will remove the get environment as well, this method, and on theme change as well, which is closing here. I will remove this and I will remove this as well. We have some errors. I will work on it as well. But here, what I will do, we will start with onInit. If you see, we have error right now because we have removed most of the methods and all, which was kind of called here. So for onInit, I will remove this and I will do the console.log double quotes SPFx onInit. Just get this and is loaded or called, whatever you want to say. We still have error, right? What we have to do, we have to add the return. So return super onInit. So guys, you might be having the question why this return super.onInit. So the reason we use super.onInit here is basically to call the parent's setup. SPFx has its own internal initialization setup, and by using super we make sure all of that runs first before our code kicks in. And we return it so that SPFx wait for whole setup to finish properly before going to the next step. So onInit should load first, then render, then this on onAfterRender. But as we see, when we loaded our project, when everything got installed, it wasn't there. So we are not going to work on that. We are just going to use the React lifecycle, in between the render and all. So here I've wrote SPFx onInit is loaded. Same way, I will copy this, and here I will do the SPFx render is loaded, and here I will copy this, and here I will do SPFx onDispose, right? So copy this and paste it here. Now what I will do, I will run this project and we will see what are the orders in which this methods are getting loaded, right? So gulp serve, it should say reload, then we will check. So now if you can see, it is saying reload. What I will do, I will open Chrome, and if you see now, let this thing get loaded. Now here I will add my web part, which is SPFx Lifecycle, right? Now if you see, the web part is loaded. I have my name written here. I have this web part name written here. All this thing. If I go to console, because I have wrote it in console.log, if I go here, and if you see here, what I will do, I will reload this. If you see, onInit is loaded first, then we have the SPFX render, but onDispose is not loaded yet. If I go here, if I click on this now, if you see, when I deleted that, onDispose is also loaded. So this is how just SPFX Web Part Lifecycle works. Now the next part, which is React. Now how thing works when React gets added to the web part. What I will do, I will go to Visual Studio Code. I will open this SPFX Lifecycle TSX, and here I will just remove all this thing. Remove this. Now here we will have multiple errors. But first thing, what I will do, I will open close this, and I will remove this as well. Remove this and this. You can remove this const as well. So right now, this is how our code will look. And here we have to add the methods and function to see how the React works with SPFX. As I showed you, if you see here, we have onInit, we have render. Now we have to work with constructors. Go here and we'll start with the constructor first. We have the default class and everything written. Here it will be constructor round bracket props iSPFX lifecycle props, and inside this we will be having super. Again, why we use super you already know, because we have to make sure everything gets loaded before next step happens. So props, in here I will do the console dot log React constructor, just copy this, is loaded, right? Save it. After constructor it was render, right? So in here, before returning anything, what I will do, I will do the console dot log, again just copy this, we will say React render has been loaded. So React render is loaded. And after that, we had component did mount. So what I will do, I will just format the document first, and in here, before our constructor, I will have the component did mount console dot log react component did mount is loaded. Right now, what I will do, I will run this and we will see how things works, what all things we are getting in our console. Let the run watch comes in. Yeah, now I will refresh this. So we won't have anything right now because we haven't added anything. Now that we have added, if you can see, we have SPFx onInit is loaded, SPFx render is loaded, then we have React constructor, React render is loaded, React component did mount is loaded. If you see here, this is how it is. SPFx onInit render constructor React component did mount. Then we have to work on component did update. But there is a twist. It works when there is a manipulation and all. As I said, this replaced the render after method of SPFx. So I'll show you that how it actually works, and I'll show you how it is getting loaded as well. What we have to do here in return, I will create one div. Inside this div, I will have the p tag. I am John. This is the first, and here I will have another p tag. This will be count, and here we have to create the count. I mean, the page should load it after 1 second and something like that. So for that, what I have to do, I have to create one count variable. So here I will go and here I will create the count, which is of number type. And after that, we will have the component did update. So component did update. If you can see now, in did update, we have everything, the count, number, and everything. If you will see as well, if I remove this and if I don't add it anything, if I don't add anything here, if I don't add anything, if I do component did update, I won't see the count there. It is because I have added here, I'll get the, in component did update as well, that count. So I will do the undo, and here again the count, number, again here component did update. As you can see, I have this here. I will format this inside component did update. After the void, I will do console dot log double quotes React component did update is loaded. If you can see, I have added everything here, right? I have added everything. Everything looks good. We don't need the snapshot, so I'll remove that. But if I go here and if I see, if I refresh this, if you can see here, it says I'm John, count is 0. We have SPFx onInit loaded, render and everything, but we don't have the component did update. Why is that? It is because we are not doing any manipulation when this component did mount and render, everything has happened. So we have to work on that now. I'll show you how to do the manipulation and how we can check if we can load the component did update as well. So here I will go into componentDidMount and I will add the set timeout. Set timeout, round bracket, open close, again one more round bracket, and inside the curly bracket the function this dot set state, we will do count as 1, right? We are doing 1 here, but it should start with 0 as well, right? So we have the constructor in here, this dot state is equal to count will be 0. Everything works fine, and we have to call it here. So this dot state dot count. Now if you will see this, if I load it, let this thing show TCAS TSC run after. Yeah, now if we go here, we have the, again I'll reload this. If you see, it was this and it reloaded very quickly because we haven't added the time at what time it should reload. Maybe we can add the seconds or something where I have added a void 1 here, right? So set timeout was there, was 1, and here what I will do, I will add the 3 seconds, so 3000 milliseconds. And now if we see it, it is 0, now it is 1, and we can see the React component is loaded, right? It was loaded, and after 3 seconds our React component did update is loaded. So we are good till here. Now the next thing is component will unmount, which is basically called once we delete this. So we have this SPFx dispose is loaded. After that, component will unmount will be called. So here what I will do, component will unmount. Same way, just copy this, paste it here. I will call this and I will save it. This is the last thing which we have. And if I go here again, if I load it, if I add the web part, if you see component did mount is loaded, the count is 1, did update is loaded as well. Now if I delete this, you can see onDispose is called, which is of SPFx lifecycle, and then React component will mount is loaded. So that is it with the SPFx Web Part Lifecycle with React. This was the first part of this playlist SPFx series. I will come up with different project as well, the concept that we are going to cover, the new learning. So stay tuned. Thank you and bye.